Here on the Colour of Country Life, looking in the southeast of South Australia. Good to be chatting again with Labor's candidate for the seat of Barker, Mark Brace. Where are you today on the campaign trail?
Well, Ricky, I'm right in the middle of Adelaide in the Central Market Car Park. I've got a conference the last few days, but whizzed up to Taylor Bend last night for a candidates forum, which was a good experience.
Yes, and I noticed, Tony Passon, among others, the incumbent MP, has said it's been a welcome thing that there's been a number of candidates. I think there's 9. It's not a record, but it's certainly been a big surge in candidates running in this election. It would have been a busy forum.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, had a bit of an outage of power, and we think that more people could have been there if that hadn't happened. But yeah, it was full bore, but it was respectful, and it was good. Not everybody could be there, but no, it was a good night, Ricky.
Yeah, and look, what's the major policy focus? I noticed that in the state election campaign where Labor was successful in taking government, there was a push in the Limestone Coast region on health services. Have been any more commitments on the health front from Labor in the seat of Barker this campaign?
Yeah, there was a couple of weeks ago now, or last week, losing time, mate. The urgent medical care centres is going to be placed in Mount Gambier. That's a trial of 50 around the nation to try and take the pressure off emergency departments by bolting onto clinics or maybe community health, to be worked out how it would work. But the idea is to provide a place for people who have an urgent need, but it's not life-threatening, to go to these spaces, which will be open 8 to 10 at night, to deal with broken bones, cuts, those sorts of things. And hopefully that'll take a bit of pressure off the emergency section at Mount Gambier.
Now, on the health front, I know Labor's had a fair bit to say about Medicare in a number of campaigns. What is your concern? I know it's been expressed about Anne Ruston and her historical comments about Medicare and the funding being unsustainable, something she said in 2015. We spoke to her earlier today. She would be the health minister if the Morrison government wins the election. What's Labor's concern when it comes to Medicare?
Well, we essentially, Ricky, we think Labor's the only party of government who can be trusted to strengthen Medicare. As you say, the Liberals on the record are stating that Medicare is unsustainable in its current form, supports co-payments and the end of bulk billing, and effective that would be the end of universal healthcare. So for us, that's critical. For me, takeaway messages in my campaign is all about care. It's about strengthening Medicare. It's about improving access to childcare. And really critically, I think, it's taking seriously the Royal Commission's report-headed neglect to improve aged care, improve the standard of care, support raising the income of a lot of people working in that industry, which are, if not on low incomes, are very close to it, provide better nourishment for the old in our community. So I reckon it's important that the civil society looks after its youngest and its oldest, and that we all need to be able to have access to universal healthcare. So for me, Ricky, it's all about the cares. And
Yep. And on the access to universal healthcare front, something we did ask Anne Ruston about earlier this morning, as well as Tony Passon and Rowan Ramsey in the seat of Grey, is this business of the Medicare provider number. Rowan Ramsey's been kicking around the idea of tying that to a regional area to compel some doctors to actually work in regional areas. There have been serious shortages across regional SA. Is that something that would be attractive to Labor if it was in government?
I'm not sure. I can see the attraction in it, Ricky, and this has been a problem for many, many decades. And something has to give. We have to do something. Any initiative that would make it more likely to not only attract, but to retain GPs in our country reasons is something I'd support. I agree. It's a critical issue. It's been around a long time, and we ought to seriously look at any initiative that would hopefully improve the position in that regard.
Yeah, well, Tony Passon called it a nuclear option, what Rowan Ramsey's suggesting, and Anne Ruston didn't make a categorical commitment to it, but it does indicate, like you say, it's a decades-old problem, but it is something that you'd like to think at some stage federal politicians could get to the bottom of.
Well, whoever forms government is going to have to deal with it. Because we all know that in the regions, when there's a shortage of whatever it is, and particularly in the medical field and doctors, we cop it in the neck much harder. So, yeah, it's a wicked problem, been around a long time. I'd support any initiative that would improve the situation.
Now, when it comes to the word safe that you're describing, the safety is a feature of good mobile coverage because it can be the difference between being able to make an important call you need to be able to make on a farm, for instance. But it's also just about farm businesses too. The coalition's been saying across the nation where we broadcast in other states as well as SA, Labor never built a single mobile phone tower in its time in office in the most recent term. Have you got something for us in terms of what Labor would do with mobile phone coverage?
Well, I think we need to boost NBN speeds. It's a bit rich, really. The Libs have been in government for 10 years. Whizzing copper all around the place is not going to work.
Yeah, they're talking about mobile phones and they're saying they've put in hundreds of mobile phone towers, but it says Labor didn't contribute to funding a single one in 6 years in their time in office. Is Labor committing to fund mobile phone towers or just match what the coalition's doing?
Yeah, they're committed to conducting a national audit of mobile coverage, independent audit, and better identify black spots. And there's a commitment on the table to boost mobile
I think
coverage.
you've just hit one there at the moment, actually. Just repeat that for us.
So there's a commitment to conducting a national audit of mobile coverage, independent audit, to better identify black spots and guide investment priorities, and a commitment to boost mobile coverage on roads by investing $400 million to provide multi-carrier mobile coverage on roads with coverage in black spots and in regional communities. So there is something on the table there. Look, it is an issue. Yeah, I know Tony's been working at this for considerable time. I've heard him talking about this in the past. I think, whoever's in government has to address this. It's an issue of safety and access to quality communication.
Mark Brace for the Labor Party, what's your final pitch to the voters of Barker as they head to the polls on Saturday if they haven't voted already?
I suppose takeaway message for me, Ricky, is it's time for change. Give Labor a go. You can trust them to deliver good government. You can trust them to do everything possible to really improve the nature and well-being of our communities, whether it's aged care, childcare, strengthening Medicare.
Well, Mark, thanks again for joining us and all the best on the 21st.
Thanks, mate. Bye.